Hello, everyone. I'm Reverend Richard Miner. I'm the Graduate Engagement Officer here at One Spirit Learning Alliance in New York City. And today I have the great pleasure of being here with Reverend Sally Schwager. Sally, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Richard. And may I say what a fantastic job you are doing as Graduate Engagement Officer. Really, you've been a real blessing to ISC and to One Spirit in general.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say so. And thank you for all that you do for One Spirit. You are a very important member of our community. You were originally ordained in the Interfaith Seminary in 2008, and you have gone on to become the Associate Director of the ISC program. That sounds like a very, very interesting story there. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what brought you to One Spirit?
Well, yes, it's a long story. I'll make it short. I have a bit of an eclectic background. I mean, I've actually, when I look back at my history, I've worked in a number of different industries, a lot of different jobs, lived in different places. I lived in Japan for 12 years and traveled extensively through Asia. I lived in Europe. Um, it's interesting because looking back on it, I feel like I can really see clearly how some kind of seeking was, the thread that ran through everything I did. I was really seeking happiness, seeking love for sure, seeking authenticity, seeking God, really, even though the word wasn't, I wasn't that comfortable with the word God, but my seeking led me in a lot of very unusual directions, which I'm really grateful now, because I think all of those experiences really add up to the kind of tapestry that I am. And I bring a lot of richness, I think, to all of my work as a counselor, as a teacher, as a mother, as a wife, as a consultant, really everything that I do. So in 1995, I moved from Asia to New York. I began training as a psychotherapist. And in 2006, I found One Spirit. I was dancing around the G word a little bit more. And I went to One Spirit because I really, really wanted to explore and deepen my relationship with Spirit and with God. I met in my class Therese Bimka, who is my teaching partner and my dear friend. We were in the same class. Ed O'Malley, who is one of our ISC deans, was in the same class. It was a very, very special class. And it was a deeply transformational experience, seminary, as everyone watching this knows. I thought I would just share quickly a very profound experience I had in seminary. In my second year, as you know, you do a weekend on spiritual counseling, that aspect of ministry. And I walked in. I'm so glad I made it to class that day, because I didn't know what we were studying, and I don't think I knew much about spiritual counseling, but I was working as a therapist in private practice at the time. I heard something that weekend that just, it really rocked my world. And that was the idea that there was a different way of sitting with another human being than I was currently doing in my work as a therapist. And that was to really focus on someone's wholeness rather than their brokenness, and really support them in getting in touch with their own deep wisdom, rather than me sitting over here imposing my wisdom on them, helping them develop their connection to their own higher self. And I was very fortunate because I had a private practice that I could go to, and I could experiment and try on these new ideas. And I really saw how much the work deepened. And that was really a life-changing experience for me. And I would say that it was the beginning of my shift from traditional therapy to spiritual counseling, which I'm doing now.
Well, you're right. We all do understand that experience. And it sounds like that was truly a powerful moment and a turning point in your life and your ministry and your counseling. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience of the interspiritual counseling program now?
Yes, well, we define at ISC, we're currently defining spiritual counseling as this. Spiritual counseling is the contemplative practice of helping another person, or it could be a group of people, awaken to the mystery called God or Spirit in all of life. And I know it sounds a little bit simple as a definition, but there's actually a lot in there, right? We help people awaken to the mystery in all of life. I mean, it's an amazing privilege, right? And it means that we also have to awaken to the mystery, right? That's one of the great benefits of doing this counseling work. And as interspiritual counselors, now spiritual counseling or spiritual direction has ancient roots, but as interspiritual counselors, we also recognize that God means different things to different people, and so part of our job is really helping people discern and deepen their own relationship with the divine, their understanding. Powerful work. It's a privilege, really.
This sounds like this is really a very deep and meaningful path to take. Can you tell me a little bit about who would be interested in taking this journey with you?
Well, sure. I mean, many of our students come to ISC with the intention of establishing a spiritual counseling practice, and that's great. In fact, in the old days of spiritual direction, really the only people receiving spiritual counseling or spiritual direction were priests and nuns and monks. It was part of their calling. But what we're seeing today, and it's so exciting, is that more and more, kind of normal, regular people out in the world are drawn to receiving spiritual counseling, because my own personal sense is people are not just looking to kind of fix their problems or manage their issues. They're really, really looking for a shift in consciousness. That Einstein quote, we can't really, solve problems with the same thinking that created those problems. And I really believe that spiritual counseling helps people kind of leap out of their old way of thinking through connecting deeply with their higher selves and with the divine of their understanding. So back to your question, some students do create spiritual counseling practices, but people come for many different reasons. We pride ourselves on being a very transformational program, just like seminary is a transformational program for people. And much of what we're teaching are actually really, really important life skills. So when you think about it, when you're learning to sit with another person intentionally, right, with greater consciousness, with awareness of spirit in your midst together, you're really, really working on relationship skills. I like to think of it that, you come out of seminary as an ordained minister, and then if you choose ISC as a path, you kind of take the next step and learn to bring that ministry into relationship. The skills that we learn and that we practice at ISC, which are the skills of deep listening, not fixing, not sitting in the know with another person, learning to pause and really find moments of stillness, even in the midst of conversation. Right? Find that stillness. Learning to ask open-ended questions that help someone else deepen their relationship with themselves and deepen their relationship with the divine. So these are skills that are really useful in all of life. They're useful in your workplace, useful in your partnership, useful when you're shopping or waiting for the subway. They're useful everywhere. Relationship skills. We're in relationship from the moment we're born to the moment of our death. So it's important to be noticing how the divine is actually showing up, bubbling up all of the time in our relationships.
Well, Sally, this sounds like this is going to be an extraordinary year for One Spirit and an extraordinary year for the Inner Spiritual Counseling Program. We are so grateful that you're a part of our community and that you are leading this incredible, incredible experience for us. Thank you again for taking the time to speak to me today and to tell me a little bit about your journey. I will look very much forward to seeing you around One Spirit.
Likewise, Richard, and happy holidays to you, and happy holidays to anyone who's watching.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.